Hey guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you are all having a spectacular day. And as always, autodidactic means to be self-educated, and we need to be self-educated, especially in these strange times we find ourselves in, because if we don't educate ourselves, all we really have left is to believe what other people tell us. And clearly we are not being told the truth. So today I wanted to have a look at a few different things. To start with the Royal Pomona Palace, which was in Manchester, and just the surroundings of where that is, and maybe another star city. And then I just wanted to get onto some interesting pics that I found that relate to the whole sort of Star Fort, Star City, Canals kind of picture. So strap yourselves in and let's jump into this. Alright, so this is the Royal Pomona Palace. And as you can see, a huge building. You can see the size of the people. Again, this is back in the 1800s. But just looking at it, it's very reminiscent of, well, many buildings we see, but especially of the Crystal Palaces. And the one in England as well. Well, there was actually two in England. And I will get into that as well in another video. I've got a video coming up on that. But yeah, just the whole shape and architecture of this place. And it was called the Royal Pomona Palace and Gardens, and it was basically, the story is, well, let's have a quick look. The brief description of Pomona Gardens is it was a public pleasure ground. The gardens were originally known as the Cornbrook Strawberry Gardens. They were in existence before the mid-19th century and occupied a site close to the Bridgewater Canal next to Chester Road at Cornbrook. The grounds were purchased and developed by James Riley in 1868 and included many attractions such as a ballroom and agricultural halls. The gardens were closed in 1880s as a result of the land being acquired for the extension of the docks. And there's a slight different story to that as well, or a bit more information maybe. So it says the grounds were purchased and developed by James Riley in 1868. Okay. And like around 12 years, a bit more later, 12, 15 years later, in the 1880s, they decided to knock it down. And this is how big it was. I mean, can you imagine the money and work? I mean, they just went into designing this place, let alone building it. And you know, have a look at the background as well, all these spires. So, this is, yeah, the Royal Pomona Palace. So here's basically a few pics. They had some coins, because it was like a pleasure garden. So you basically paid to play, I guess. You went there and walked around the gardens, and they had dog shows and bits and pieces. So if we come here, Edgelands, the palace that exploded. So this is the Pomona Palace again in Manchester, England. This is a picture of it today, and as you can see, this is clearly a man-made canal because we have this man-made wall up here. This edge looks like it's just, you know, been sort of left. It's kind of nature's filled over. So I'm not sure if this was part of the original wall back here or what's going on, but that's obviously, yeah, being a bit overrun with dirt and stuff. And if we, so same story, it basically says it was built 1880s. And if we come down here, however, before the docklands, because this whole area is now being got turned into docklands, and now they're redeveloping it all again. And it says, Pomona was indeed a tourist destination, a palace of leisure, unsurpassed in unsurpassed in splendor and vitality. Pomona Pleasure Gardens were a major attraction of the mid-1800s, originally named Cornbrook Strawberry Gardens. The area was renamed to reflect the lush orchards which surrounded it. So this was actually, well, you'll see, it was basically a big gardens with orchards and things. It also had, opened in 1845 by William, the orchards were eventually converted to public zoological gardens in 1868. The area was sold to James Riley. Riley built a palace on the grounds. He lived in a large nearby mansion. And if we come down here, it says that it exploded. Benjamin Disraeli spoke there at one point. And you'll see these pictures. Nice old world bridge there. Nice arch. And clearly all old world, construction, all the things we see, and it's just been left and overrun. But here we have nice tunnels. It was a bit quick, wasn't it? Just the usual suspects. And it says down here, the palace itself housed a 1,000-foot clock tower, an orchestra pit built for 100 performers, and the tea room's ceiling was painted with figures of Mars, Venus, Neptune, Vulcan, and Pomona. The venue could house 30,000 people. Okay, this was built, they tell us, 1868. To accommodate for members of the public wishing to swim, Riley built a 150-foot swimming pool. Of course he did, in England. A few metres walk from the site beside his house on Tatton Street. The palace and surrounding gardens were marketed to the citizens of the region as a cost-effective escape. The pleasure gardens were accessible by road from Hulme or steamer. The grounds hosted horse shows, dog shows, Roman chariot races, circuses, entertainment from touring professionals such as Wallet, the Queen's Jester. And in the botanical gardens you could take archery classes, ride on the flying swings, explore the hedge maze, and try out the camera obscura. So this place sounds, like one of those festivals you see in a movie where they're having a medieval festival and they've got mazes and they've got archery and they've got horses and dogs and wow. And then it says today it's used for more nefarious activities like dog fighting and drug taking, but that's not to say it's not every bit as glorious. And down here, the glory of the palace and the gardens was relatively short-lived, and in the 1880s the site was almost entirely surrounded by factories, and it had been decided to build several of Manchester's ship canal docks on the grounds. The palace and gardens continued to operate for several more years. Then in the summer of 1887, a nearby chemicals factory exploded, and in doing so damaged the palace considerably, and they decided to tear it down instead of fix it because it was now surrounded by docklands. So this is in the 1880s, guys. They're trying to tell us that in 10 years, just over 10 years, that this area had gone from a big open place full of, gardens and orchards and sprawling lands where this guy built this building just for pleasure gardens to make some money. And yeah, within 10 years it was surrounded by docklands and buildings and basically torn down because it got damaged. Here is the explosion. This is the orchestra hall. High ceilings, and up here there's a few more pics. This is it today. All abandoned, graffitied, but look at this, we've still got the old world architecture there. And a nice chemtrail. Alright. And I just thought I'd pop this in. Obviously this palace we're looking at is called Pomona, and as I said, it originally was surrounded by gardens and orchards. And Pomona is, or it says was, a goddess of fruitful abundance in ancient Roman religion and myth. Her name comes from the Latin word pomum, which means fruit, or specifically orchard fruit. So I thought that was, kind of interesting. Pomona. And this is Pomona. So here's a statue of Pomona, and she's holding the fruit and the grapes in her portico, of course. And we have some other pictures of her, always surrounded by gardens and fruit. So I actually hadn't heard of Pomona, so just thought I would share. Okay, so here's just a couple of pics I thought we'd have a quick look at. This is inside the Royal Pomona Palace. And as you can see, I mean, it's just like so many other pics we see. This is obviously drawn. And as Martin pointed out in his live stream from earlier today, is you'll notice that the pictures that are full of people always tend to be drawn in pencil. And the actual photos tend to really never have anyone or very few people in them. So as you can see, like massively oversized building, huge ceilings, you know, the usual suspects. You know, we've got all the arches, all the columns, all there, just built up. And of course, there's no, I've had a good look. I've not been able to find any construction information at all. So no pics, no plans, I haven't even been able to find stuff on who the architect was. I haven't been able to find a lot on this place at all, to tell you the truth. This is the orchestral bay, is that what it's called? And a bit broken here, you can see. So, I mean, how old is this place? And see just the shape of this house, just one of those nice half circles that we see everywhere. And it looks like it may even have the dome, the half dome up here. We see that everywhere, that kind of shape. I believe, is that called a portico as well? Because when they've got the statues in them, they're called porticos when you kind of see this top bit open. Which is something else I'm going to get into, the whole sort of port. The word port and portico and portal and porthole and all that kind of stuff. And again here, look how tall the ceiling is. And of course completely covered in artwork. As we see, the surfaces of these old world buildings are completely covered. Even the doors here are just completely symmetrical. Everything just done, just exquisitely. Even up here you can see it's all covered. That's my kitty cat. Yes, hello kitty. Another shot of the hall, and this is interesting, isn't it? That this is all, I mean, it's all falling apart, and it's supposed to be what the whole building was supposed to stand, sort of less than, what was it, 1868 to 87. So we're talking 17 years, less than 20 years. But this, what is this? Is this paper? And we've got a wooden structure behind there by the looks of it. I mean, see that looks like the cornice. Can you see that? Like that's the actual cornice there. But then, what is that? Material or paper? Because is that the same as this? See this? It looks, that looks like what we see everywhere, like you would think was, I don't know, plaster or carved or something, but what the hell? What's going on here? And down here it looks like a whole section has fallen off. Oh, that's come from the top. I mean, what? And even up on the roof. It's like it's all been covered in paper. Or, you know, like a canvas, like art canvas, painting canvas. And it's all coming unstuck. I have not seen that before. So that's very interesting. Let me know what you think about that. That's just bizarre. Because down here it looks fine. Like that look, and then that's actually paper. That. Alright, interesting pick. Here's another shot. This is another good pick. This is, I don't think it's the actual palace. I think this might actually be where he lived, his mansion. Oh, it's on the island, but look at this, what's underneath it. You know, this is clearly a structure that's built either on top of something else, or it's just a much, much larger structure going into the ground. See that? So it's a massive structure, whatever it is. This is another shot. This is called the Pomona Palace pub. So this is obviously one of the old buildings left in that region. We've got an old rock wall here, which you do see everywhere, and they really do need to be questioned. Wooden nickels has been pointing them out a lot. You know, structures like these that are just sort of everywhere, and they're all, you know, a lot of these walls, I mean, it's like, why would you build a wall that short? It's just kind of, you know, what purpose does it really serve? I mean, really. And you see these a lot, just these funny short walls. So this is the actual Pomona Palace after it was, I don't know, damaged. I don't know what's going on here, because it looks like they've got a bit of scaffolding on the front. Lots of, across here, antiquity stuff. You know, completely old world looking, completely symmetrical. Not completely level. Nice clock tower. Something's missing from the top there. Portals. But look at how it's sitting. It's just, it's not really, I don't know, it's just a bit high there. It's not completely flat, but, you know, for a building that stands less than 20 years, you would expect it to, you know, for that ½ metre of soil not to build up. Massive chimneys in the background. And another, I think this is a drawing. I'm not really sure. I think, yeah, it is. Showing, I'm not sure, because with these, you know, we're told this was knocked over in the 1800s, but this looks like a 1970s building. So I'm not exactly sure what this picture is, but that's, I think, a representation at least of this Pomona Garden Palace. But like I said, there's not a lot on it, not a lot of information, not a lot of pics. This is another building from the area, Pomona Palace. Door, half a door going straight into the ground here. You know, old world, we see this sort of brick pattern everywhere. Nice old solid building. And this is a shot. It was marked Pomona. But I'm not sure. This may be Manchester. But interesting still. Like, look at this building in the background. We see this kind of architecture everywhere. Nice bit of symbolism up there. And of course everything just oversized, you know. Stories here, you know, 3 times the size of the people. Just not looking like it was really made for us. And this is a picture of it today. This is the island here. I think it's called Pomona Island. And this is where the palace stood and all the orchards and things. So it's not a huge area, but apparently this was all built out, and then they just started building docks and boatlands over the orchards or something. But look at this nice old world bridge here, and they've built a train on top of it, and clearly man-made canals, man-made edges. And this is the palace after the explosion, apparently. And as you can see, it's quite a big explosion. And it's an interesting, because maybe this is the actual building that blew up, because that explosion clearly looked like it's come inside and gone out. So I doubt this is actually the palace. I think that's probably the building that blew up and damaged the palace. But even then, I mean, didn't throw debris that far, did it? You know, so it's probably just another conveniently concocted story of you know, how they could destroy this old world building. And here we are on Google Earth. So I just wanted to show you the area. This is the island here. And as you can see, it has a canal running up here, a thin one that cuts it from the mainland, so it is an island. And then we have all this sort of shipping stuff they've cut into it. So I'm not sure, you know, when this was done, but clearly you can see the canal work here. Okay, I mean, just these straight edges everywhere, these big, you know, winding curves all the way up. You know, this one as well. It's only a thin one, but, you know, perfectly straight, clearly made. You know, these just don't look like natural river systems. Here's one of those funny shapes again. I'm starting to see everywhere. And just the look of this, after you look at enough sort of cities and towns, you just start to see, like I said, the canals are a big part of it. And in Europe, most of these cities still have the canals. So because we have this island, and obviously they've wiped it clean, but this, in my opinion, would have been an old star city. And you could look at the architecture, it's actually absolutely full of it. I mean, we are in England. But again, you just see these usual suspects as well. You know, the parklands, and look at this. What's this ridge line here? Is there something under there? See that? And again, this would be an old world building, but see this? See how it's laid out? Got these shapes. Down here we have these shapes in the ground. And I'm not sure if that's just mowed differently, or if that's, I don't know what that is. But this as well, I'm not sure what this is. This looks like some kind of foundation for something else, but it's just got that look. We've got the gardens here with, you know, the geomancy, and no doubt this is an old world building. Let's just see if it lets us have a look. Oh, come on, Google Earth. So this is the other side of the road. Nice to see all these balls everywhere, hey? Yeah, look at that. See this nice arch that's been filled in. And clearly an old world building. We've got these balls, they've been replaced with cement now. Look at that work on that. Look at that. So yeah, very nice old world building there. It does look a bit low. I think it is lower than the street level. It is. See how we've got street level here, and then down below we've got about a foot lower, we've got all this. And even these look like, you know, old red brick buildings. This of course is new. So this all looks like new construction. You can see all the new flats and stuff and the 70s stuff, but yeah, this no, that's definitely old world construction. And as you would imagine, because look where it is and what surrounds it. And again, out here, more, you know, sports grounds. They do these kind of things, sports grounds, golf courses and stuff. And see these buildings. See how these look like they've got a courtyard in the middle? If you look at them, they're actually not one building. See how you can see the roof lines cut there? So this is just one building built this way, one built this way. So these are new buildings. But if they're old world buildings, they will be one complete building. They won't be cut like that. Let's see if we can quickly see any. Okay, so I can't find any of those buildings in this area. Looks like they've all been knocked over, the ones with the courtyards. And again, courtyard is an interesting term, isn't it? And just to show you, here's all these sort of parklands, you know, all different heights and stuff, you know, circles and funny shapes. And of course, what do we have nearby? An old world building. And you find this a lot. Whoops, did I go to the wrong side? I know, it all looks like the same bit. So over here we have, and here's some more walls. That looks like a newer one. Let's see, parklands. And then when you come to this side, old world buildings. Looks a bit abandoned, that, doesn't it? It is abandoned, a bit overgrown, but look at that. Nice old world building. Look like it's all been covered up. Stop people throwing rocks at the window. Because apparently this place is a bit rough these days. But yeah, just to show you how that sort of works. And this, again here, this looks like a massive chapel. It's not really going to let us get close, but we'll have a look at the front of it. There you go. St. Clement's Community Church. So this place definitely has the markings of a star city. You know, we've got the canals, we've got the old world buildings. I've got, you know, the shapes in the ground. We've got the parklands. There we go. Over here we even have a bit more. Okay, that's a very familiar shape. More parklands, you know, these angles for no reason. There we go. That, no, that's not old world. So this, yeah, it looks like they've completely trashed all the old courtyard buildings. But it's interesting how they make these new ones, and they kind of, from the air, they kind of, you know, the eagle eye view, they kind of look the same, but they're not joined up. Alright. And this is Liverpool. It's actually just not far away. And just to show you, it's got the same similar look. We've got canals coming down here, straight lines and things. But see just the shape, how everything's a bit higgledy-piggledy. You know, no sort of straight lines like we see when they completely level things and rebuild it out. It's always, you know, more like this, sort of straight lines and squares. But when they're on top of something, for some reason they build around what was I guess there's a lot of stuff under the ground. So you get this funny looking network of roads. And of course, we've got all this, you know, parkland and stuff around here everywhere. You know, hills, you know, it looks like things are buried maybe. You know, you get this all around. Some strange things sticking up there. There's a nice shape that we see a lot. I've kept that one. Oh, what's that? Looks like a water park. Theme park. So we see a lot of that kind of stuff too. But see how there's lots of parklands and things. And then down here we have what looks to be the remnants of a star fort. Sitting out on the water. And I mean, look where it is. It's just sort of out there. It's got one road to it. You know, why would you be building out there if they say they built that? clearly the water levels changed at some point here. I mean, you can see these lines, you know, are they old walls? So yeah, that is, so these things are everywhere. Now that you're sort of, Hello Kitty. So yeah, I just sort of wanted to show you the form, the kind of look that these cities take, and that when you look at them, they all seem to have these similar patterns. Here's another one with a nice big canal going up. Got one of these islands in the middle. See, there's a man-made canal up the side there. And the canal comes right up inland. And these funny shaped roads, parklands or a golf course in there. Just the usual suspects. What is that? Okay, I'm guessing that's a star fort. Let's see if we can have a look at that one. Alright, so this is in England. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's just full on castle. And isn't it funny, like when I was growing up, I was taught, I guess we all were, that these castles that looked pretty much exactly like this, with the turrets and that, were always square, weren't we? We were taught they were square, and now we find out they're actually the walls of star forts, star cities. And look at this. Built up over a rock, maybe? Or did something maybe melt at some stage? But look at that, this and got the splits. That's just classic, isn't it? Classic. What we're taught is just a castle. So there you go, look at that one. That's cool. So that's a funny shape. I'm not really sure what that is. I'd say that's just a part, yeah, here we go, of something much bigger. So here, look at this, okay. So look, this is a full star fort. We've got walls coming around here the whole way around. Kitty is trying very hard to get into this video. She wants her meow to be heard. Okay, I think I have Kitty under control. We'll see how we go. Yeah, so star fort. And as you can see here, now this building, interesting. We'll have a look at it, hey, because that looks like one roof, doesn't it? Let's see what it, or if it lets us look inside the fort. Oh, yes, here we go. There we go, old world buildings. So, and look at that. Do those arches look a little low to any of you? And this pillar. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, look at this. So this is full on old world. We've even got a little obelisk thing here. Arches. You know, the brickwork, everything. Oh, here we go. Oh my gosh. Bit round, aren't they? Look at that. That's funny. And there's the star fort. No, okay, there's always cathedrals, cathodes in star cities. This is a pretty skinny road for an old world. Nice circles here. Stained glass, looks like the Illuminumis have been. So yeah, there you go. So that is, can you see that, how that roof, even though you can, they've, you know, re-roofed it and it's got sort of different levels, that is one continuous roof. It's all joined up. So that's how you can tell that's old world and different to the new stuff that, you know, just if you're looking at it from above. Okay, so this is a canal, obviously. Just see if I can get the translation. Hydraulic elevator at Fortinet's 1887. And as you can see, it looks like an old world building. We've got, you know, the same brick construction, the same look. Here it is again, man-made canals. Down in the forefront here, we've got an old world red brick arch. And just as we see so often, just all these men in suits standing around for a photo op. So it's pretty, it's all the same. And you know, we've got some up the top here. And we've got this big building. So has this been found? This is a late 1800s. You know, have they sort of just finished cleaning this up? And, you know, they're standing around, hoo-hoo, look what we built. And so it's a man-made canal. This is a column. Is that up the right way? No, sorry. And it says the sensor hydraulic defontanet. So I think that's, I don't know, hydraulic fountain, I'm thinking. And we just have this massive pillar. Now, I'm not sure if it's completely referring to this pillar, what this is, but so are these pillars part of, you know, the whole process? Because we've seen pictures of pillars, you know, that are broken, and a lot of them are hollow, a lot of them are filled with what looks like backfilled rubble. UAP said that he was talking to an architect who'd seen books that showed mechanics in these, so like a mechanical device, and on the top there were statues that were turning. So I'm wondering, are these hydraulic? You know, like it says in this picture, was there water running through these that was basically the power source to turn the hydraulics, all the machinery, and then that did different things. You know, it may have turned statues to give out information, celestial type information. It may have run different machinery, created power, all types of different things. And then, of course, we have the whole steam bit. This, I don't know, this may be retrofitted. These are pretty big parts. We don't know. Maybe old machinery. You know, because all the older machinery was made from, you know, good quality solid iron, and that iron didn't seem to rust either. But most of it's been ripped out and retrofitted with new sort of stuff. But this is what I'm thinking is, you know, because here we have a house and we have a canal that's running underneath it. So it's actually been built, if you can see up here. So this stream, or sorry, the canal, it's not a canal, it's a natural stream, but the houses, or whatever this is, has been built over the top of it. And it looks like there might be a few more, you know, sort of water tunnels over there. So again, are they getting power from this? And here we have what looks like a power line. And of course we have windmills that were run on water. So it's the same kind of, you know, technology really. It's just hydraulics. This is another building, of course, another photo opportunity. Lots of men in black suits with hats on, standing on this old world building, got all the arches, all symmetrical. And again, underneath here we have flowing water on a river. So again, is this some kind of you know, machine or plant or whatever that's harnessing energy, or using the water for, you know, for different types of things, to turn machinery, to harness energy, to communicate messages maybe through the machinery that it runs. And so here's a star fort I found, plan of fort in Lewis. And here we've got Canal of Burgess, or whatever that is. Got a very nice star here. And up the top we have the Canal of Communication of Dunkirk. Is that right? So the Canal of Communication. And as you see, this is the canal. And we have these red lines coming in. Now, I'm not sure, see, this is the same color as this. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be water and this, but it's clearly saying that the canal is to do with communication. So is this, to do with more than just, boats sort of floating down the river with news? Is this actually, were they running things that was actually communicating things through to people? I found this as well. This has got some nice Phoenicians down here. I've got the old trident, nice crowns. Not sure there's a date on this one. And this one is, the Canal Royal Communication again. Have the 3 fleur-de-lis, big crown, angel blowing their horn. We have a cherub that seems to be lost here. It's sort of flown into the cape, and this guy's going, hey, dude, you're supposed to be out here holding this up with me. Communicating. So yeah, canals of communication. And if you look at this, just look at the amount of towns and things that are around. Now this one I don't think had a date on it. Probably around 1600, yeah, 1669. And here we have another star fort, a huge star fort. Look at this one. This is the citadel. And around the outside in yellow here, we have the Canal of Communication. Going around here, and I'm not sure what this is. Haven't really seen this before. Yeah, not really sure about that. Any ideas? Leave it in the comments. But yeah, so I'm finding that a lot of these old star forts are naming the canals, the water systems, as communication. And you can see up in this cross section that they are talking about the canal, because this is the yellow bit. And as you can see, this is the yellow bit. And again, is this them just drawing this canal, or, have they made this? Because it's pretty simplistic drawings. And it's really just a picture of what's already there. We have another one here. Why have I got this? Oh, look, we've got lots of nice castles around. This is, where are we? I actually have no idea. But this yellow line, okay, look at this. We have a nice big city up here, Toulouse, with a big river going through it. And then we have this yellow line coming down here. And it juts off up the top there. And that is another line of communication. All the way through. And there's another big star city down here, Nabon. Clearly a star city in a river. And so they're all connected by water. Now, I did see it was written communication somewhere on here. Canal. Ooh, I'll have to find that for you. Let's see what it's called. Here we go. Yeah, Plan Géométrique of Canal Rotel pour la Communication, 1665. So all of these seem to be sort of saying the same thing. This is another one. We have these lines down here. And if we come up the top here, communication, project on canal communication. And here we have I'm pretty sure this is what they're talking about. This line that weaves around, and these lines as well, they seem to go, I mean, here's another line, but they seem to see how this one, it's going under rivers or through rivers or, you know, mountains. It just sort of goes everywhere. And we've seen this in some videos I've done with Victor, and Victor is the one who also brought up this communication, sort of showed me the first, you know, maps with the communication written on them with the star forts. And it just seems to be everywhere. So with this information that UAP has given us, that these may, you know, all the columns may actually be, you know, machinery that was driving statues and things, and these statues were actually talking about alignments in the stars and what was going on in energies, and that was the news, the communication. They would all go down to the fountain to get their water, the fountain with water, of course, you know, it's all tied in, and get their news. So here's an old map, massive star city, another picture up here, walled city, big star city, Rochelle in Bonnegrain, is that? Cherub there, not too strange. No date by the looks of it. But yeah, star cities, and down here you'll just see that it's all connected with water. There's just water going everywhere. We have to sort of, just to show you. So the water comes in here into these. Whoops. Now, are these canals? Maybe they're not canals. What's going on there? The port of Noof. Okay, so that's land. We have all these cannons blowing people up. Okay, so maybe there's not as much water in this picture that I thought there was. Okay, here we have the canals coming through. Okay. Thought there was something here. Okay, and that's, so this is, yeah, surrounded there. Okay, and these are all canals. See how they sort of surround the star cities? They go into them, and then they go out into the countryside, and you can sort of follow them. Here's the wall. The canals go up, out, and out to sort of these other cities out here. I don't know, is this some kind of communication, or is it just for you know, agriculture? Who knows? But this is a pretty interesting map, even though it's not playing well. It doesn't want to buff for us. But you can see, like this wall, like just these, you know, they're citadels, I guess. You know, these bits on the wall, they're huge. They're big star forts all the way around. And this is my computer running slowly. Okay, so this is, yeah, sort of around the 1600s. So, you know, this is kind of as, you know, probably the first takeover or attempted takeover, cataclysm, whatever it was happening. You know, we can see, you know, we've got the old world here, and it's being attacked by all these ships down here. We know who the ships are, the Phoenicians. And it just says that here it's the plan, and it says here communications. So that must be why I've found it. So a map of the town and the surroundings of La Rochelle, all the forts, redoubts, and communication lines, dike and palisades. So, where are the communication lines? It doesn't seem to be. Here it says forts, redoubts, communications. So the communication lines on this are not actually really drawn out by the looks of it, but Just a classic Star City. It's a very good map, this one. I'll leave all the links for these in the description as well. But that's what I'm thinking, guys. So what do you think? All these canals, obviously they're integral to the Star Cities, but are they also how they were running, you know, machinery and sending communications through the running of that machinery? You know, all hydraulics. And then on top of that, we have, you know, the whole sort of steampunk thing. You know, all these steam machinery that we see, all this old world, you know, really, really large, high quality iron, you know, the machinery, the big cogs and things we see everywhere that's very steampunky. You know, was this, obviously, you know, steam is water too, so is this all part of one system, one way to you know, to get free energy, to just run things off the flowing current and just make machinery that runs off that, and then, you know, different valves and locks and things, they could change currents, change flows and change information that was being sent through these machines. It also may have a link to natural things as far as rainfall as well. So something I'm thinking, leave me some comments below. I'm going to leave it here because it has been going on a little bit, but I will be following up on this topic. I do have a few other insights and interesting things. And this is called Solomon's Pools. This is interesting. We've got a round mound here. And again, this is all water, so this seems to be connected with water again. I just found it interesting just because it's basically called Solomon's Pools. This is a plan. This is called Marley's Machine. And this one is, yeah, pretty interesting. So the plan general of the machine of Marley. Now this machine, we have water here, and then we've got these channels of some kind coming down. So I'm not really sure what it is, and all these gardens, but definitely water based. It doesn't really say a lot, but you know, plan of the machine, horizontals, controller, forges, the river sign. So I guess that's water, but this is some kind of big, it says machine, and it's got, as you can see, plants, orchards, and just these sort of funny, I don't know, what are they, man-made skinny canals or something? I'm not really sure. But Marley's Machine, it's come up a few times. I can't find a lot on it. And this is something that, yeah, I sort of found pretty telling. This, whoops, as you can see, looks like one of these rotundas or bandstands. Okay, you can see there, and what have we got underneath it? Machine, hydraulic. Okay, down here into the water. So, what's going on there? All these rotunda things that we see everywhere, are they machines? Were they machines? Because look at this, we've got a big cog under it, and you'll remember as well that John Levi mentioned with a carousel, you know, the merry-go-rounds, that it looked like a big machine. And as you can see, this would spin around. So we get these in different sizes. But as you can imagine, the bigger size ones, you know, you could just turn them into a ride. And this has been theorized before, you know, all these sort of theme parks and, you know, carnival sort of places that we see, are they just tech that's been made to look a bit different? You know, are we actually riding, or were we riding these big old machines? Because as you can see, that's clearly a machine. We also saw one of these on the video I did with Martin outside the Crystal Palace. Whoops. And this is called the plan of a machine. something. And this again has got water down into it, and as you can see, it's some kind of old machine, and it's all based around water. And we've got machinery here. We've got, sort of pistons and levers and things going up and down. And so is this what was really going on, in the old world? Because there's all these machine-looking. There's that again. And I've got quite a few of these pictures, and they're all just, hydraulic sort of machines and designs. And it's showing us, and we all know that this was free energy. So is this a big part of the free energy? Is that all this machinery was actually running off water and water flow? Something to think about. So that's pretty much it. I'll leave it there. So that's my idea. Communication, canals, water flow. Is this how they were not only getting energy, but running machinery and using, that machinery and that tech to send communications to let people know what was going on with the natural earth energies to help create a more harmonious world. And of course, most of these canals have now been filled in, stopped, diverted, and definitely all the tech they used to go to has been dismantled. So something to think about there, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. Thank you for spending some time with me. Kitty Cat's there just saying goodbye. She hopes you enjoyed it as well. And there she goes. And we'll catch you on the next upload. Alright guys, have a fabulous time, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.